Welcome, America, to AmendmentOneRadio.com, where your First Amendment rights are still safe to say what's on your mind.
Hey, good afternoon, or shall we say late afternoon. It is about 9:10, and my name is Catherine K. Guns. I have 15 years of experience of handling firearms, 2 years as a firearms dealer. Then one day I took a concealed weapons permit course, and I learned more in that 3.5 hours than I ever did in all the years of knowing firearms. Then I became a firearms instructor, and I'm currently a range officer over in Oldsmar, and I really, really do enjoy teaching and learning every day. And this show is brought to you by sponsors and advertisers like you, or if you want to be a guest on our show as well. All you have to do is call the number 727-493-2055, and you can be a guest. But we also need sponsors and advertisers, too. And then I wanted to thank Nolan from the Talkwad Radio Network, and without him, all of this could not be possible. So if you also want to become a sponsor and advertiser for the third time, I've repeated that 3 times. But if you want to, hint, hint, we need you guys out there. There's a couple of other things I wanted to list out there that are going on, some dates to remember. I think that one's already passed, so it's this one right here, December 21st. Wow, that's a couple of days.
That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow?
Yeah, the end of the world.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
December 21st at 10 p.m., the comedy performance by Nolan at Kicking Wings, and that's at 8702 State Road 52. And then on December 24th and January 3rd, we're closed for the holidays. Woohoo, I need a break. Man, although I still work one of my other 3 jobs. So then January 6th from noon to 10, we have an open house for the new studio in Tampa. So if you guys think that you want to do your own radio show, you're more than welcome to do that. And so this is an open house to check out the new studio we have in Tampa at 10014 North Dale Mabry, Suite 101 in Tampa. So give us a call on that, which is 727-493-2055, and we'll help get you out that way. So my guest today is Gerald. And Gerald, how are you doing?
Still breathing.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's been a rough week.
Yeah, it's been actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, I really considered tonight because my show normally comes on at 4:30, and I did Facebook everybody that I could get out there to know that at 4:30 usually when I do my show, I asked for an hour of silence due to the tragedies that happened over in Connecticut. And so we're going to have some interesting things. Although last week I said we were going to talk about the history of firearms, it looks like we're going to be talking about the present of firearms. So you got anything to hit off of your agenda? Because we had a phone call earlier and you said you had some good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, actually, I got something that's really interesting. And, it's just, you being a gun instructor and everything like that, it's just that I look at it this way, that I try to make the point to everybody that guns don't kill people. And the best way I can sit there and make that point is pretty simple. Actually, I brought my own handgun in, and as we know on my show, it's a 44 Magnum. It is loaded. Watch this. I'm going to sit there and prove a very special point. I'm going to take this gun, I'm going to lay it on the table, and I'm going to point it right at myself. And now, if I'm alive an hour from now, then guns don't kill people. So, and it's just that, people are going to have to understand that it is a position to where it is the person behind the gun is the person that kills people. It's not the gun. So watch out. Everything that's happening now, and it all comes down to accountability, responsibility. But because these kind of incidents that happen, which are, major tragedies, the problem of it is government's going to run with it. They're going to do everything they can now. And if you don't think that ban on the guns is going to come out even faster now, they're looking at within the next 30 days with Biden, Harry Reid, and the other idiot up there that are going to sit there and actually try and pass it through. So good luck on that one, people.
I actually see it coming. I honestly do. And, a lot of people asked me at the gun range on Wednesday, and I've been choked up all week. And it's really hard for me to talk about something so tragic. And, the only answers that we can give is some of the media has gone a little bit wild with it. And the main talk is about the AR-15s. And what has happened is a lot of the gun stores, some big name people, including our gun store, has taken AR-15s off the shelves. Okay, although that was not the firearm that was used in this tragedy. that firearm was actually in the car. He never got it. He did this with 2 handguns. And if he didn't have access to handguns, he probably would have made a homemade bomb.
Yep.
He would have found a way, and he was just messed up on drugs and a bad combination of, I don't know, maybe it was upbringing, because I know that when I was brought up, my mom brought me up right, and God bless her. I know she's probably listened to this show, and we haven't spoke to each other in probably a good 5 years. Okay, my mom is she's got a mental disability, and she's a sweet lady, but she has some issues there. But she brought me up right, and I think that the thing here is we lost our family rights too, because I honestly think that if this kid had gotten his butt whipped, I don't think this would have ended up this way. You know what I'm saying out there?
Yeah.
I just and I think that was a good majority of the conversation that was going at the range was where did this kid come from, and why children? Why?
Yeah.
And there's no real answer to it other than there's just a combination of bad things there that happened. And so now what they're talking about doing, and this is just theories, we will actually know tomorrow, because NRA is going to be speaking on it. They have kept silent for the whole week, and they're actually going to be speaking on it tomorrow as to how they're going to try to protect us, or whatever the case may be. And I've heard there's even a possibility of us actually standing down on this, which sends chills up my spine, because already a lot of the gun stores, out of respect, and I found it really touching that they took and put all the assault rifles away, just out of respect. But what they're talking about is possibly redoing the Billy Clinton ban on AKs and assault rifles, and hopefully all the people that own them now are grandfathered in, but you will not be able to buy a new AR
Yeah.
or any other assault rifle. But this is how it happened over in England, and it was explained to me by another coworker that works there. They started out with that, where you had to have training and an evaluation every year. And then pretty much, well, after that, they started getting it to where they were saying that nobody was passing the evaluations. And that's how they took the guns away that way, so you couldn't acquire one. And then they just started, taking handguns away and everything, until they pretty much, well, got rid of all the firearms. And so this is actually the very beginning of it. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, that's even like on the show that I did earlier. Australia banned all guns. So the first year after they banned all guns, their crime rates increased 25%.
Yeah.
I mean, now you're sitting there talking about the old joke about, well, hey, if you outlaw guns, only outlaws will have guns. Well, the problem is how do you sit there and defend, your family? How do you defend yourself, against deadly force? What are you going to do? Whip out a broomstick when the killer comes at you with a 9 millimeter, a 45 millimeter, a 38, or an AK-47, or a 12 gauge shotgun? All guns kill. It doesn't matter. You can take a 22 and you can kill somebody with a 22.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I mean, we've got all the war movies and everything to sit there and glorify, all these assault rifles. And it's like, wow, great. I can go out here and shoot up a car in 3 seconds and it's great to do. It's all in the movies. And the whole thing is, it's about the responsibility of the gun owner. Yes, the Connecticut tragedy is exactly that. It is a tragedy. But, they need to go in there and figure out, okay, what happened for the mother to sit there and have guns like that were in the house, that were accessible with supposedly what the media is saying is a mentally handicapped kid. But also at the same time, nobody's going to know until all reports and all evidence is brought in.
Until all the facts
Yeah.
are in, because I don't necessarily even want to blame her, although
No.
she did have a hand in the responsibility, because
Yep.
Connecticut has some very, very strict laws. And one of
Yep.
them is to make sure that your firearms are locked up.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's just, I mean, if you had kids, even if I had kids or if I was around little kids or something like that, my gun would never, ever be in a position to where anybody would have access. I've had kids come to my house at times when I've had guns and stuff like that. And as soon as I know they come over, I either lock my bedroom door where my guns were at, or I put all my guns in my safe if they're like under 3 years old, because, hey, little 2-year-olds can get into anything.
That's right.
So, and it's just like, it's called responsibility. Do I sit there and feel really bad about it? Yes, I feel really bad about what happened in Connecticut. Do I think that the media and the president and all the naysayers are sitting there blowing this up for out of proportion on the gun issues? You
Yes.
bet your ass they are. And it's just that, people, I understand you can mourn for this. That's right. And there's no problem with that. But also at the same time, you better understand the underlying agenda here is because you will lose your guns and it's coming. If everybody's going to sit there and play off the sympathy of this, which, I'm not trying to say it's a bad thing or anything like
No,
that,
no, you're not
you
trying to
know,
minimize it. I
yeah.
agree with
And, and it's just, but, they're going to play this, they're going to beat this drum until they beat the drum to death. And, and it's going to do that. And also at the same time that happened, well, here's the thing: you take away guns. There was another school where a man in China went through there and took a knife and stabbed the students and killed them. So
you.
there you
Timothy
go.
McVeigh
Yep.
bombs.
Yeah. He
And
blew up.
it's even more. Forgive me for saying because I'm not trying to minimize this, and I hope that
Yeah.
people understand what I'm trying to say. But he even did more destructive damage with his bombs
Yeah. I
than
mean, this is
this
stuff that he got through like your company, your
fertilizer
stores.
store.
Yeah. Anything from it could have been any home repair store or something like that that sells fertilizer. I mean, not to mention that, you can get, you got kerosene. My God, you can take 2 gallons of gasoline and two propane tanks, and you've got a hell of an inferno bomb right there. And it's just, what do you do? Do you ban uh, gas tanks? Do you ban gas? I mean,
Propane tanks,
I mean, my
just
God,
or vehicles.
yeah,
Flat out. We had a guest on last week that talked about that there's actually more deaths and as a result, and this to the statistics, more death results due to drunk driving than there is with firearms.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
just
yeah. I mean, it's just, it's absolutely ridiculous. And, it's just, I mean, yeah, I can't stress enough that, it is a terrible thing. And it's just that, there's a lot of issues out there with guns, but, being that the kids are being brought into the limelight and, the media is making, a heartfelt story over it. You also have to remember there's a lot of other gun issues out there. But if you really want to sit there and talk about real people that murder, well, hey, here's a good one for you. How about all you people that smoke out there? Okay. You're going to go after Reynolds Tobacco. You're going to go after them because you know something? You may as well put a gun to your head because you can smoke all your life. You're playing Russian roulette. Even on the package of the cigarettes, it says they can cause fatal injury.
or even more than
Yeah.
that's the word, yeah,
Yeah. And,
or even destruction to your children.
yeah. And, and it's just like,
So
it's like, okay, well, hey, you've got a tragedy, but yet we sit there and televise cigarettes and stuff. Oh, it's great. Kids sit there and they do it, so you've got cigarettes, but you don't see the media going out here and jumping into a
well,
source like this.
why aren't they going after the video games that actually
Yeah.
glorify it and say kill, kill, kill? They got these. I'm not trying to pick on the video game makers out there, but I'll tell you what, it's a little graphic. In fact, I taught even prior to this show, I taught a 5 and a 6-year-old on a Sunday, and one of the I had to go through training them, and I'm really good with teaching children about firearms too. And I thought, they are a little young, but they're sharp, and they paid really close attention. But at first, his first response was when we went through the firearm safety rules, is he said to kill the bad guy, and then I had to explain to him that that's not exactly what we're trying to
Yeah.
do. And I don't want to go that route, but these video games, that's where he learned it from.
Oh, yeah.
He practically knew how to work that firearm completely. And I asked the father if he had prior training, and he said nothing but video games.
Yeah.
So then I kind of question sometimes, maybe we shouldn't expose that until they can understand that they don't come back. You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
that's it. It's final.
the bad part about it is those video games are the parents' new babysitters.
Yeah, and we lost all our right to you spare the rod, you spoil the child. Because I know
Yeah.
we didn't never even thought twice of disrespecting your mom or dad. They told you to jump, and you said how high? Not I'm going to
Yeah.
call the police because you made me jump. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but there were several articles in the Tampa Bay News Times, and I found some interesting ones, and And then I also got my guy, if it's possible, the tech is actually trying to download a video, or a YouTube thing that I know that you guys have probably already seen. But there's one article I found in here that in the Tampa Tribune here. It says tragedy reignites the gun debate. The Connecticut shootings reignited calls from the gun control activists and some elected officials of laws restricting access to weapons. And I don't know if I mentioned earlier. I'm going to bounce around a little bit, just so that people know an AR-15 was not used in that shooting. It was in the car. He used.
No.
I'm sure I mentioned that earlier, but I'm so deeply disturbed.
Mm-hmm.
So a crowd of about 200 people gathered outside the White House on Friday evening for the candlelight vigil, and many of them drawn together with social media sites. A few held signs that read, "Mr. President, we are praying for your action." Reverend Michael McBride of Oakland, California, in Washington, as a part of the religious-based effort to speak out against gun violence, called President Barack Obama to take a stand for gun control in his state union address and during it. Uh, Platitudes and condolences do not help. We need action, McBride said. Um, in New York, the mayor, Michael Bloomberg, said that it is time to move forward for serious gun laws. We have heard that the rhetoric before, said Bloomberg, the leader of this group of mayors against illegal gun ownership. And you noticed how they used the word illegal gun ownership. Unfortunately, what it's affecting is they don't know how to regulate the bad guys. Also, what's happening is the good guys are getting regulated.
Yep.
You know. So what we have not seen is leadership, not from the White House and not from the Congress that must end today. So Republican Carolyn McCarthy, whose husband was one of the 6 people killed in the shooting on Long Island Railroad, God bless, in 1993, said she will resume her quest for broad gun violence I got tongue-tied.
Legislative.
I can't say it today. Reinstating the assault weapons ban that expired in 2004. That's that AK ban.
Yep.
Okay. Banning high-capacity magazines, requiring criminal background checks and gun buyers at gun shows, and improving instant background checks to more thoroughly to catch people with histories of mental illness. How do you catch that when they fill out a form?
Yeah. Well, see, that's like I said even earlier on my show. I said, you know something, if they want to sit there and, slow it down, because it's not going to stop. They're not going to stop it flat out. But if you're going to slow it down, then if they're going to do guns, then you know something, they should sit there and get into a gun course for certain guns. It should be so many hours for one gun. It should be so many hours for the next gun.
I'm not entirely against that. When
No.
I would ask all the gun dealers out there. I know that we're regulated by ATF and 4473s, and that's awesome. I know the other thing they're touching on is that the gun shows where you can sell in the state of Florida private to private without any paperwork. But I urge those people to please do the paperwork and then use your better judgment. We kind of are almost the final line as a gun dealer on who gains access to that next to FDLE doing the background check. But if it's private to private, ask them questions. Don't be afraid to ask for their driver's license. If they're a little skittish on giving you that driver's license and letting you take down that information, perhaps they're doing something shady.
Yeah.
Use your better judgment. If you see them making, say, oh, I only need, 6 rounds for the revolver instead of trying to buy the whole box of 50, perhaps there's a reason why they're saying that. There are some tips that you got to pay attention to.
Yeah.
But that all might change very, very quickly where that just can't happen. Okay.
Oh, it's going to change.
Yeah. So, requiring criminal background checks on gun buyers at gun shows and improving instant background checks to more thoroughly catch people with histories of mental illness. And I'm not going to be shy about anything more, she said. And this debate is over gun control flares anew. It is likely to focus on the types of guns that were found with the suspect in Connecticut: a Glock pistol and a Bushmaster 223 M4 carbine rifle. which are similar type shooting weapons in the mass shootings in Oregon and Colorado. Both guns are popular for target shooting and self-defense, but both have been singled out by gun control advocates because of their ability to rapid fire multiple rounds to accommodate large magazines. The ability to rapidly fire multiple rounds, it's still one trigger pull per,
Yeah.
per bullet. So they're kind of making it sound like they're trying to make it sound like it's even worse. The the high capacity mags, yeah, you can buy them. In personal opinion, I think it's cool for a 30 round Glock magazine that can carry 30 rounds, but is it practical for me? Not
No.
personally. No.
Yeah.
But it is fun to use at the gun range. So
Yeah.
people out there that are buying those, I would like to believe that those that are buying them that have been properly trained and have, are the good guys, are using them for the range for collection purposes. Because the bad guys, they're not listening to any of the laws anyways. They are going to acquire.
Yeah.
So I just, I can flip flop on this both ways. I honestly have to say that I support NRA 100%, but I understand where they're coming from, and it's because it's our responsibility to probably be a little bit I don't know. What would the word be? What I'm trying to say is that,
Actually, it'd have to be responsibility.
yeah, just the
I mean,
responsibility flat out
yeah,
of
and somebody has to be, accountable for the actions of
yeah,
the gun,
lock the guns
and
up
then
and
that's where it comes down to responsibility. I mean, because look, we're 32 minutes into a show. I've got a 44 Magnum that's sitting here pointed to me, and I'm still talking.
yeah.
It hasn't shot me
And
yet.
normally I would bust your chops about muzzle awareness, and it is loaded, guys. And
Yep.
normally I would do that, but I think that Gerald has a very strong point to make.
Yep.
And I get it. I'm glad it's pointed at you, though, and not me. I'm sorry. No, dude. Learn to duck and dive. Yeah, for all those people out there that think guns kill people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
it is. It's aggravating as hell on that.
Yeah,
Um,
it is. And, you know, but, wow, should I continue reading or, yeah, I might as well. It's just such a mess. There's so much on it. You people can Google this stuff out here too. And it's just, wow, So, but Republicans said tighter gun control measures would be, the wrong step. That's one thing I hope doesn't happen, says Republican Mike Rogers, the senior Michigan Republican who was a former FBI agent. That's certainly the lowest common denominator. What is the most realistic discussion is how do we target people with mental illness who use firearms? And you guys got to look at the bigger picture of this. This is how they did the gun ban in the UN. Although I kind of back them on it because I really think that you should have to have a psychological background check to do it. Because to get a Class D and G license just to be an armed security guard, you have to do it. To become
yeah.
law enforcement, you have to do it. So I think maybe it is time for civilians to do it.
Yeah.
I
I
do.
mean, there should be something to where they can have some kind of a, responsibility to the gun and responsibility to the people that are surrounding them. I mean, because in essence, when a police officer is trained to use his weapon is only to be pulled in dire emergency.
Yeah, it's not. You don't pull a firearm to gain leverage in an argument. And I've said
Yeah.
this in several shows. You don't do that. You are supposed to be responsible, calm, cool, and collected when you're carrying a firearm. That is only for you to know that you have it and only use it when it's needed. Okay,
Yeah.
you don't use it to flash and say, "Hey, don't mess with me. I got a gun." You don't do
No.
that. It's
Yeah.
yeah, totally
It
the wrong kind of thinking. And I even heard somebody say one time, "Well, if somebody breaks into my house, I'm going to unload that entire magazine and reload and shoot him again." Well, that's not right either. That encourages anger, and any court of law is not going to agree with that, even if it is the castle doctrine. I think that's excessive force. Um,
uh,
all you're doing is stopping the threat. Okay,
yeah. Well,
that's what it is to stop the
yeah.
threat.
It's kind of a twisted issue on that with me
Yeah.
because I mean, we've got a sheriff in Lakeland that I said earlier, even on my show, that was that, you've got Grady Judd. He had a man that came out there and pointed guns that, that was, I'm not sure, remember what the story was, but I know somewheres, that it was that they wound up, they had to shoot him. Well, the man was shot 52 times. Yeah,
I do know about this one.
yeah,
Yeah.
and and they sit there and they ask the sheriff. They said, "Okay, well, why was this man shot so many times?" And he told everybody, he says, "We ran out of bullets."
Yeah.
And
They
you
were
know something?
angry.
Yeah,
They were angry.
yeah, because I think he killed one of the fellow officers.
Yeah.
But the whole thing about it is there's a time to use force, and is there such a thing as too much force? I'm sorry, I can't agree with that. Because of the simple fact that if uh, if you're in a situation, somebody breaks into your house and your kids are, you're sitting there watching them about to be murdered, and you've got a split second decision. Do you sit there and shoot them one time to injure them to stop it? Or do you sit there and think, well, hey,
Oh,
my
I'm not
child is my
saying, yeah,
life?
I'm not saying
Yeah.
it that way. Do
Oh, no,
not
no, no.
misunderstand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So, because I mean,
stopping the threat, you don't
yeah,
want to leave them wounded either.
no,
And I know that
yeah,
sounds so cruel because I can
yeah,
understand from both sides. I
yeah,
really get it.
yeah.
But that'd just make them angry.
Oh, that's why I say,
Yeah,
hey, you know something?
yeah.
You stop the threat at all costs because you can replace everything else in this world, but you cannot replace
It's a lot.
life. Yeah,
So let me see where we got there. So Kristen Rand, the legislative director of Violence Policy Center, a gun control advocacy group, said that it is too early to say whether Newtown, Connecticut massacre will yield a different political results in the previous mass shootings. But now we know because this was done on December 15th that it actually is going to make an impact. But she said she believes that it will for two reasons. The victims were children. God bless. Which were elicited at gun wrenching response across the country, and the National Rifle Association proved its political paper uh, tiger in the 2012 election. Um, wow. David Chipman of the former special is a former special agent of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, who is now a consultant for the mayors against illegal guns, and he said he believes the shooting is a game changer. Barack Obama advocated tougher gun laws after the shooting in Aurora on July 20th, but he did not break new ground in proposing legislation, and he reaffirmed that his belief on the constitutional rights of gun owners. In a speech in the National Urban League of New Orleans, Obama endorsed tighter restrictions to bar mentally unstable people from purchasing weapons. Officials say that the dead suspect in the Newtown massacre suffered from personality disorders. So these steps shouldn't be controversial, Obama said then. They should be common sense. Um,
yeah. I mean, because in actuality, why would you punish innocent people for their own amendments? Their constitutional rights to bear arms and everything. Now, granted, I'm not saying go out and buy you a Thompson 45, fully automatic machine gun or something like that. I mean, but also at the same time, you've got collectors. And and even on that, I mean, you've got car collectors, you've got motorcycle collectors, and you've got gun collectors. They go in there and they buy what they like, and yet they use it as their collection. If they go hunting with it, then they go hunting. If they go target shooting, or if they take it to gun shows to show, or something like that. But if you've ever seen a real true gun collector, you'll always notice that the majority of them, usually the smallest one I've seen is a 6x6 fully locked safe that usually has an electronic and a regular code with it as well to get this thing open. And when he's done with what he's doing, they're all locked back up.
Yeah. And people out there don't hem and haw over the cost of these safes. I've seen them as low as 199 all the way up to a few $1,000s. But can you really put a price tag on life?
No,
You can't.
and not to
So,
mention, gun safes, not only are they good for guns, I mean, but hey, if you've got jewelry, you've got whatnots that, you don't want to get broken or stolen or heirlooms or something, hey, guess what? You can put that stuff in there too.
yeah, don't put it
So,
under your mattress or in your dresser
yeah,
drawer. That's the first two
yeah,
places that the thieves will break into, and then you've armed them. This
no,
is how they're one of the many ways that they're getting access to firearms.
yeah.
Yeah.
And and it's just like, and even one of the sad things about it is there was actually a law enforcement officer in Hillsborough County that had his house broken into, and They actually stole all his guns. So, how bad do you feel this guy was when he had to sit there and file a police report saying,
Explain to a sergeant what
yeah,
happened. Yeah.
I'm a law enforcement officer, and and somebody broke in and stole all of my guns.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my God.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, it's a bad situation altogether, but also at the same time, we don't need to be losing any more constitutional rights and have, government put a squash on everything else. Because, how soon will it be before they start telling you what you can and can't eat, what you can and can't grow? But actually, there's a law out there that says you cannot grow in your own home, your own backyard.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. There's actually a law about it. And it's just, you know, heck, actually, if you want to hear something really crazy, one of the guys here the other day sit there and told me that I guess about a month ago, there was like a group out in the Midwest there that was doing non-denominational churches and stuff like that was complaining about certain things. They actually sit there and said that Charlie Brown was demonic because of the fact that the church that Linus talked about, and when Linus talked about God, that in the background the church was a non-denominational church because it didn't have any markings. And and I told the dude, I said, hey, I said, if you want to give me whoever that made that comment. I said, I would love to put him on the air because I said, I will personally crucify him, because, hey, I'm sorry. I grew up watching Charlie Brown. I'm almost 50 years old. I still love watching Charlie Brown. And, you're going to sit there and take something that's damn near the most American thing you got besides apple pie and baseball.
Yeah.
You're going to sit there and bitch about Charlie Brown. Are you kidding me? These people ought to be
These are the
taken
same
out.
people
Yeah.
that took the when we did the Pledge of Allegiance in schools. I know there's a lot of people out there in my age category and older that remember that we did the Pledge of Allegiance, and they took that out, and then and the prayers in school. So there was something that popped up on my Facebook too that was, um, where was God? So you guys Google that. That guy had a lot of really good things to say too. I don't know if I can pop that up. I think I got it right here on my phone. Another, and I'll mention that other one too, which is really good. But he basically he did a really good speech about we took God out of everything,
Yeah.
and yeah, it just
Well, yeah, we replaced it with government.
yeah, and
So
so
who's the new god?
yeah, ay ay ay, So let me see if I can find this one on my phone really quick. I know it's in here.
No, we're at 43 minutes.
Are we at 43 minutes
I don't
and
know.
no bang? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's looking at me though.
is it?
Yeah, it's watching me.
Yeah, it's under a Huckabee on Fox News. So it says, "Where was God?" and "Where was God during the Connecticut shootings?" And it says, "If you have 3 minutes, check this out. I couldn't have said it better. And why again? This man is not our president." I I wished I didn't want to necessarily play it. I just wanted to see who it was that spoke that. But you recognize him. Do you
Yeah,
know who that is? I can't think of his name. He's a news broadcaster, and he couldn't have said it better. So you guys, you can Google that. Where was God? And this was about the Connecticut shootings. He said something really, really good. I like the way they said it. And then there was another lady that she did one that I posted on there was help Connecticut mothers. And basically, what she's doing, and you guys got to Google that too. And it's about the Connecticut shooting, and it's a memorial for the mothers of the Connecticut children victims, because what she had to say on there too was so profound. We do not need to forget this, and what she's basically asking is if you take a nice index card and or a nice condolence card and put some lipstick on and kiss it and send her about 10 or 20 of these, and she'll do the rest of the work. And she's going to continue to mail these to the families that we haven't forgotten, and
yeah,
she's hoping to reach the mark of over 1 million, and I think she can do it. I think
yeah,
it's our responsibility to show respect on that.
yeah.
So
And it's kind of sad because I mean I don't mean to sound cold and callous because I think this is a really good thing what she's doing, and and it's just it kills me to see how the media props this situation up, blows it up, and it's this terrible, terrible situation. But yet you've still got military personnel that that are still sons and daughters that are still protecting this country. That are still out there dying every day, and a lot of times it's sad to say, but they're actually kind of like looked over, and it's just like they go over there, they do what they got to do, they get killed, unfortunately. We come back and it's 5 minutes on TV. They do a memorial service, they get their honor guard, and it's forgotten about. And it's just like, and I understand, that this is a bad situation because of the children. But, I still think of all military personnel as somebody's son and daughter,
Any life
and
is a
it's just,
tragedy to be
yeah.
lost. Any
And,
life.
and it's just, I mean, it's a terrible situation. But also at the same time, can you blame the gun manufacturers? No. Can you blame the NRA? No. It all boils down to you still have that responsibility and the accountability of the person that's using the gun, and they have to be held accountable for their actions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because hey, we're at 46 minutes, and if anybody goes out there and they want to say guns kill people, well, guess what? I'm not dead yet. My gun is fully loaded. It's not a joke. It is a real gun. It's a Dirty Harry special. And you know something? It hasn't shot me yet. So,
Yeah, I got goosebumps. This
yeah.
whole whirlwind things going on. Yes, the media, I do believe, is taking it and run with
Oh
it.
yeah. I mean,
They failed to not even if you guys get on the my Facebook too, they failed to even mention all the shootings that were prevented due to armed teachers,
yep.
and they don't mention any of those.
I did on my show.
You did,
Yeah, I
yeah.
actually had some of the clips on comments on Obama's speech where they were sitting there talking about the one about the NDAA law that Obama signed, that where the military can sit there and arrest you, they can hold you for life, and even if it comes down to where they felt you were a threat, they can kill you, and there's nothing they can do. You don't have a right to trial. You don't have right to prosecute or anything. I mean, they take you and you're done. You're gone out of there.
Wow.
So, and it's just like, okay, guess what? Your constitutional rights were just taken away from you because of that, because you do have a right to a trial. Now you don't.
Yeah, and it's just scary. Another thing I saw also on my Facebook, and I know I keep mentioning it a lot. I got a lot of friends on Facebook that I connected to, and I also tweet too. Just learning the new tweeting thing, so you guys don't be too hard on me. So, but there was another thing on there that I had read, and I kept that poster too that I thought was pretty neat. It was a suggestion of all of the military personnel that have been highly trained. When they get back home, they said, "How about putting two military persons per school and see if another stunt like that happens again?" Because even
Yeah.
if, and I hate to say it, and I hate the thought of even thinking it would happen again, but I do see it happening again. I
Oh
do,
yeah,
whether it be a school or another theater or
yeah.
some big public place, and it may not be with firearms. But I thought that was a neat poster where they said, see if they'll do it then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the sad thing about it is what most people don't realize. I can go into any kitchen in any house in the whole United States, and I guarantee you within 5 minutes, I can get your kitchen stuff that you've got underneath your sink, and I can make a bomb in there that'll blow your house apart. And I mean, even people with pools, I sit there and see it all the time that they put containers of acid and chlorine in the same thing. And I sit there and tell them every time, you people are idiots for doing this, because if you want to know the truth about something, that's the same chlorine gas that Hitler used to kill people. So, mix the two together and see what happens. You're dead. You can take something as simple as aluminum foil, ball it up, stick it in a bottle of muriatic acid, and cap it and throw it, run like hell because you want to talk about a hell of an explosion. I mean,
Wow.
it's a
Maybe we
nasty
shouldn't be
bomb.
telling the. I'd like to
Yeah,
believe that our listeners are extremely
yeah,
responsible,
responsible,
and and,
definitely.
and and we do joke often, don't do as Gerald says, but he's
Yeah,
making a strong point that
yeah,
yeah, it unfortunately in today's society with all of the mental labels, which are due to just flat out irresponsibility by the parents, but unfortunately that was taken away too. But it's just good upbringing.
yeah,
Parents know what your children are doing,
yeah,
and all of that's kind of been taken away, and so it's snowballed into this horrible effect. And uh, basically their retaliation is grabbing the easiest thing to get, and whatever it may be. I'm not saying guns are the easiest thing to get. It's one of many things.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, even like I try to stress out, video games for kids are not babysitters.
That's right, and it creates a disconnect. They don't
Yeah.
realize exactly what it is. I maybe he does. Maybe he did, but he was,
Yeah.
it glorified it.
Yeah.
It made it seem like it was the thing to do. And
Yeah.
I
Well, that's
just
even like actually, let's see, come to think of it, I guess it was not too long ago, CSI, um, or not CSI, the other one, I can't think what the other show was.
there's
God.
NCIS and all those are really good
Yeah.
shows. I
One of
like.
those shows sitting there, and they were talking about the situation was the mass murderers were actually doing a video game to where they was actually playing the actual people to where they were murdering the people. And I'm sitting there thinking, where do the writers come up with this kind of stuff? And and how close to reality are we really at with this kind of stuff? And I mean, it's just if you sit there and start watching some of these shows and seeing the reality factor of it and how close some of these things are, it's like it's only a matter of time before we get some kind of something really bad happen, that'll sit there and dwarf the school shootings, with a outrageous magnitude, then it's like, then what do you do? You gonna go after whatever makers of the products it was you used to kill all the people, or do you go in there and start getting stricter guidelines as far as responsibility with the parents?
Or I saw another thing too. What about help for the mentally the what's the correct term? Mentally conflicted or just disabled.
Yeah, mentally
Um,
disabled.
we don't really have the hospitals or the facilities other than paying big bucks to help these children out
Yeah,
and even adults out. We used to have all of that. All of this money fighting to trying to ban the guns. Why can't we, get together and help the actual some of those problems with those people?
yeah,
I'm not saying that they're not able to function in society. It's just that maybe they need guidance or direction to help them with their grief.
yeah,
Obviously, there was something that really mentally disturbed him. I mean, not
yeah,
just with the disability, but maybe the video games and just a combination. I heard his family was kind of torn apart, and I'm not trying to
yeah,
pick on either side on that, but you know, eh, there was something missed there
yeah.
or ignored.
Yeah. Well, so,
You know,
that's like, and like I said, I'm not being cold or callous, but they're putting so much media effect on this. And yes, there was 26 lives, lost, taken away before, anything. But now, if you want to see something on a greater magnitude, and being I was just thinking about it, if you really want to sit there and really put your thoughts into something, why don't you check out the suicide rates of the military personnel that come back home? That ones that can't deal with what they had to deal with over there. They had no place to turn. They had no people to talk to. They couldn't tell people what was wrong or anything. And we as a nation, we didn't give them media coverage. We didn't give them an outlet to go talk to people. We didn't give them anything, because I guarantee you will be shocked. And it's sad to say, 26 lives. That's 26 lives too many. But I guarantee you're going to see thousands of suicides.
yeah. Just, ooh, I got goosebumps. So, guys, it's actually 9:54. I think there's about 10 minutes left in the show, and that gun has still not fired itself. Um, God bless. He's trying to figure it out. That's okay, because I know a lot of people already know what the president had to say there. Um,
Yeah.
next week I am probably going to try to continue as normal.
You mean
It,
next year?
I guess is it next year? So wow,
Yeah,
so it'll be
next year.
2013. You're right. I have 3 jobs and I can't keep up with the dates anymore. But
Mhm.
things might drastically change within a week to a month, or certainly in the future. And I hope that I made a dramatic job change.
Yeah.
My whole life was in the gun industry. There's no doubt about it. And I jumped into retail as a backup plan because I kind of saw it coming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's sad no matter how you look at it. And it's just that the problem is the NRA, I hope and pray they step up And, they're going to have to really make a strong point. They cannot back down on this issue with the gun war at all because of the government versus guns. Because guess what, folks? They've already beat you in taxes. They've already beat you with the Patriot Act. The only thing you really got left is basically your own life and your gun rights and your own personal opinions.
You know what?
And it's a matter of time before that's gone too.
If it doesn't say enough, that the state of Florida, they they hit a milestone, and this was also in the newspaper, where we have now just hit the number of 1 million CWPs in the state of Florida. If
Good
that
too.
doesn't say enough about how many people out there that are becoming responsible, you have
Yep.
to take a training course to get that CWP,
Yep.
and that shows that there are still people in there that understand that it is the person behind the firearm, and so that guns don't kill people. I mean,
Yep.
so that says a lot there. And there was let me see if I can. I think I saved the paperwork on that. Yeah, I did. Okay. So a state nears the gun milestone in Tallahassee sometime next week in Florida, which this was posted on December 13th. So I'm a little bit behind, but I only do the show once a week. So sometime next week in Florida, somebody will become the state's 1 million holder in the concealed weapons permit, solidifying the state's #1 standing on the nation in this category. Agriculture Commissioner Adam Putnam, and you've heard me quote him many a times. He's got that beautiful quote that says, "Only God grants you the wisdom and the ability to know what's right and wrong, and it's you and knowledge that gives you those responsibilities. And the law
Yep.
will only back you if you've acted within that law." So I've repeated that several times, and I do it with all of my students, and I try to get that out there as much as possible. But so Adam Putnam deemed that it was the worthy a news conference on Wednesday, flanked by the U.S. state flags. I have been asked about licensing responsibilities as much as any other topic, and Putnam said that when I asked why he touted that the 1 million mark, asked why he touted the 1 million mark, no doubt it proves the popularity of the program because in 1987, at the urging of the NRA, when Florida became the first state to adopt the permit process that at that time was very lenient, no longer did applicants need to belong to certain professions to own a concealed handgun permit. They had to meet a few requirements, such as being at least 21, a U.S. citizen, and not to have committed a felony. And under the leadership of a longtime Florida lobbyist, Marianne Hammer, who got the first permit in, the NRA had pushed to remove the obstacles of getting them. And in 1992, for instance, the lawmakers removed a requirement the permit holders had to live in the state of Florida. So actually, you can get a Florida concealed weapons permit and not be a Florida resident. But you do have to take the course, and you do have to qualify with live fire. And again, on another note, all you instructors out there have the responsibility to not do the one-shot exercise. Take your students, do the five-shot exercises with the according to the NRA booklet that you got when you became an instructor. Even if you've created your own basics training course, take the time with your students. And I know I'm a little harsh on that because I've seen other instructors do it, and shame on you. Take the time to train your students properly. Let them shoot at least 50, 100 to 200 rounds until they can do what they're supposed to be doing with it. Um, I barked, didn't I? But that's important to me. And the so back to the article, the easing of the barriers didn't come only through that's I can never say that word. You know which word I'm trying to say. Legislation.
Legislation. Yeah.
Policies in the Department of Agriculture, the Consumer Services, which began the oversight of the program in 2003, have made it easier and faster. Putnam says it takes applicants about 35 days to get approved now. Before he took office in 2011, it took about 12 weeks, and that was true. I remember the long waits. That was crazy. So since the program was created about 25 years ago, and it says go to 8B, did I pull that? Yeah, so 25 years ago, only 34,759 applications have been rejected of a 0.015%. So it did weed out some of them, And the voters casting their ballots by absentee or professional ballots got rejected on a higher rate. So Putnam called the low rejection rate proof of the sound application process, which he said is so rigorous and that it discourages those who wouldn't be eligible. But earlier this year in South Florida, the Sun Sentinel reported that for the people whose fingerprints were ineligible, the agency did not complete the background checks. Now it does. And because of the state agriculture's office is not a law enforcement agency, it lacks to access the FBI crime database. And that means that the state approves the applications despite not receiving the data. Drug addicts and people with mental issues, the military personnel with dishonorable discharges, and undocumented workers. So I believe they are going to close that gap, which probably would.
Yeah.
So Putnam said, we have closed that gap. Here it is. And when he asked for the department, it was now reviewing the FBI data. So Gray Beavis of the department's director of licensing said in the news conference that the agency still does not have access to the FBI information, so the gap is not completely shut yet, Beavis says. And he said that the Florida Department of Law Enforcement is allowed to look at the data and will work with Putnam's agency to make sure that this happens early next year. FDLE Commissioner Gerald Bailey said his agency processed more background checks for the firearms on Black Friday shopping the day after Thanksgiving than any other single day in the agent's history. I believe that's the same day that I sold 6 guns in 1 hour. So,
Did you do a background check on them?
Every one of them. I did. And honestly, I did more than that, more than I had to, but I think it's my responsibility. I asked him a lot of questions of what you need. What is the purpose of the firearm? What do you need it for? Key trigger answers is what I was looking for to make sure. And so I was pretty confident in those that I had purchased. Putnam did not mention permit holders such as George Zimmerman, who was arrested on February 26 for the shooting of Trayvon Martin, or Michael Dunn, who was arrested for the November 23rd shooting of Jordan Davis or Jacksonville teen. He stressed that the state's low revocation rate of 0.3% had defended in a 2006 law that keeps the secret names of permit holders. The legislature made that the decision to protect gun owners, and that we should respect that, Putnam said. So one person who cheered the upcoming milestone was the NRA's Hammer. It is great news, he said, that when a number of license holders increase and crime rates decrease. We have a record of numbered license holders now, and the crime is at its lowest that it's been in 40 years. That's a statement alone in itself. And including, there are several other states, too. Arizona, the crime rate is not there because open carry. Would you mess with somebody that had a gun on their hip that you could see?
Well, the bad thing about it is regular media won't tell you this.
Of course not. Gun control group says that there's nothing to celebrate. So you see, and as I read this, you can see the negative and how they're fighting that. It's just So Florida concealed weapons permitting allowed George Zimmerman to carry a concealed weapon in public, and he had a history of violence. Here's the thing: if he got the concealed weapons permit, he just he did the one thing that I always teach, and that it doesn't make you James Bond.
Yep.
Okay, he slipped through the cracks because somehow he decided that he was neighborhood watchman. So he obviously, and I could be wrong, I don't know enough about the case, but you have to have a Class D and G license to do so. I would think. I guess that you don't have to have a license to do neighborhood watch, but to do it the way that he did it makes him an armed security guard.
Yeah.
And he would have never passed if he had to do the psychological background check. Yeah, they're guys, hold on to your socks. They're going to make this tight. That's all there is to it. But said Brian Malty, he was the one that talked about how he slipped through the cracks here. The spokesman for the Brady campaign to prevent gun violence. If more guns were made safer, made us a safer society, then we'd be the safest society on earth, and we're not. We're the most lethal, which is not true.
Yep.
That is just a false statement there.
Yep.
That is so not true. But maybe I'll gather the statistics to show that. But I think that is just as easy as Googling that information out there and getting onto my Facebook and seeing that there's a lot of stories where there was a guy. Shoot, I think it was a couple of months ago. His name was Kool-Aid, some sort of gang member, where he broke into this old lady's house and she shot him in the head.
Yeah.
Or did he accidentally shoot himself? I can't remember. He might have accidentally shot himself in the
I think it was
struggle.
the old lady that,
I
because
think
I know
she
there
did.
was.
Yeah,
she was in her 80s.
So she did shoot him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And can you imagine? It would have hit the news if he had actually assaulted her and then and murdered her. It would have been in the news. Oh, there's another gun violence situation. We need to take the guns away. But what it did, she shot him. She stopped the threat, and then they didn't report it.
Nope.
It was a small, tiny. Actually, I'll give Tampa Tribune the credit. They gave a small little article about it.
Yeah. That's
way in the middle of the pages.
Yeah, because I mean, the bad part about it is, like the old saying goes, you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Yeah.
And it's just that the media is only out for the story. If they have to finagle it a little bit to make the story better for better ratings and stuff like that, it happens. And it's just even with government politicians. I mean, I still hear about, oh yeah, Obama ran such a great campaign, but boy, he really did throw Romney under the bus for being, him being such a nice guy. And it's just like, I can't see him being a nice guy. I wouldn't even see this man walking an old lady across the street. That's how much of a dirtbag I think he is, along with Obama and all the rest of the cronies that they have there. So, but yeah, keep going and see what happens with your gun rights. And people need to sit there and call the NRA and start raising hell and say, hey, look, we want our constitutional Second Amendment kept.
You know how they do that? You need to become an NRA member. It's $35 for a year. And I'd say send as much money as you can. Because this is about to get drastic.
Yeah.
So.
It's going to make a bad change.
Yeah. Note time is 10:07, and the gun is still not fired.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Still living.
Alrighty, so what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it up. I did want you guys to check out Gerald's show as well. It's called Voice of America. And what time does it air?
6:30, 7:30.
On Thursday nights. You guys definitely need to check that out to keep up on the politics end of it. And then, I'm not going to exactly say what's going to go on for next week's show. I wanted to go into the history of guns, but we're still going to deal with the present because
2 weeks.
There's a lot going on. Yeah, not next week, but 2 weeks. That's right, because we're closed for the holidays.
Yep.
Yeah, wow. Okay, guys, so just a couple of notes to know. On December 21st at 10 p.m., comedy performances by Nolan at Kicking Wings. Not only is he the guy that puts all of this stuff together for all of our shows, he's also a comedian, so you guys really need to check him out. He's actually really, really funny, and he's doing his performance at the Kicking Wings at 8702 State Road 52, and that's the Kicking Wings. And I believe State Road 52 is that
that's
Port
like
Ritchie or
like Port Ritchie up
Port
in that
Ritchie.
area.
It's up there. And then on December 24th, we are, and January 3rd, we are closed for the holidays. So that's December 24th through January 3rd, we're closed for the holidays. So that's a good time to take a review of all the other shows that I've done.
Yep.
Yeah, hint, hint. And then also on January 6th from noon to 10 p.m., there's an open house for the new studio in Tampa. And I encourage anybody that wants to do a radio show or even has thought about it, anybody can do this. Hey, guys, my first show, if you scroll back to past shows and you watch the first one, my knees were knocking. I was so scared. And now I think I kind of make it look easy. But, you guys can do it out there, too. Voice your opinions. You can talk about anything from sports to politics to anything. When you get on our network, you go to www.talkwad.com, and it's TALKWAD.com, and then you can click on any of the names on there, which is sports or political. There's a ton of choices there, and then you just watch the shows that you want to watch, and you can watch them live, and we post what times they air. Now, my show usually is on Thursdays from 4:30 to 5:30, but I did, out of respect, ask for that 1 hour of silence, and then I came in on at 9.
Yep.
But So if you guys want to host, check it out. We have an open house at the new studio in Tampa. That address is 10014 North Dale Mabry, Suite 101 in Tampa, and that's something pretty cool there.
Yep.
So
Should be pretty interesting.
yeah. Alrighty, guys. I'm gonna actually call it a good night, and anytime that you ever want to be a guest on my show, or if you want to call in, you can do so. And the studio call in number would be 727-493-2055. Any party notes?
Nope. Still
And
alive.
we're still alive. And I don't know if our guy has heard us, but
Yep.
I think we're going to wrap it up and have a great night, guys. And he just gave me a big smile. So bye, everybody. Y'all have a great night.
Have a good Christmas and a good New
Merry
Year's.
Christmas and Happy New Year's. And God bless.
Yep.
God bless everybody. And I'm not scared to say it.
There you go. I agree.
Yeah.
All righty.
No matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march